Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're embarking on quite an extraordinary journey. We're looking into a set of sources about a world, well, steeped in ancient prophecies, warring empires, and a young woman's fierce fight for her own path. Our mission for this deep dive is really to unpack the intricate details of this fascinating narrative. We want to bring you the key insights, maybe some surprising facts from these detailed accounts.
Yeah, absolutely.
You'll gain, hopefully, a unique understanding of the characters, their motivations, and, the profound challenges they faced in a world just teetering on the brink of war.
It's truly a compelling set of documents we're looking at. We've got excerpts from The Nightblood Prince by Molly X. Chang. It offers an incredibly rich and detailed look into this fantastical yet, deeply human conflict.
Right.
We'll be exploring the core narrative almost like it's a historical record, looking at the intricate politics, the unique abilities, the personal dilemmas, everything that shaped this world.
It sounds fascinating. The idea of choice seems central from the very start.
Oh, absolutely. What's fascinating here is how that very concept of choice is challenged right from the outset.
So let's begin with Lady Leafing, or Faye. Her path was, well, seemingly laid out from birth, wasn't it? Tell us about the circumstances of her entry into this world and how prophecy immediately sort of casts its shadow over her life.
Right. Imagine being born under this specific celestial sign, your very first cries just completely overshadowed by a divine prophecy that basically seals your fate from birth.
Wow.
That's Lady Leafing's story. She was born in the midnight crevice between two lunar years, and her cries were actually drowned out by celebratory fireworks, kind of a cruel irony given the burden she was about to carry.
Definitely.
The prophecy declared a fallen goddess who bears the phoenix's mark is destined to rule a united Anlu. And this mark, it was this stark red swirl on her forehead.
The phoenix mark.
Supposedly in the shape of a phoenix, yeah.
Well,
Though Faye herself notes she always thought it resembled more a sideways eye, but it became this inescapable symbol of her predetermined path.
that detail, the sideways eye, it really adds a layer of, ironic subversion to her perceived destiny, doesn't it?
It really does.
And this destiny was immediately cemented by an imperial decree, an infant betrothal to Prince Kieran. What does that tell us about the power dynamics at play? I mean, even before Faye could even walk.
Well, it reveals this profound desire for control,
Yeah.
both imperial and maybe divine control. The emperor literally tied a blessed red string of fate between their infant fingers.
Wow. As infants.
Yeah, already envisioning Kieran uniting the continent with Faye right there beside him. It's a chilling reminder that for some people, individual will just means very little against these grand designs of power.
So her childhood.
Her childhood essentially became a gilded cage, dragged behind crimson walls. The text says she could do everything I wanted except leave. This very isolated upbringing, constantly reminded by her father, you are the future empress, you need to be protected. It created this deep sense of not belonging, almost like she felt like a child stolen, raised by servants.
That image, luxury as imprisonment, it's really powerful. And despite this external perception, her being chosen by the gods, destined to rule, Faye was haunted by these chilling visions. What did those visions show her? How did they contrast with the glorious future everyone else seemed to see?
Yeah, her visions were a really stark counterpoint to all the celebratory talk. She saw bloodshed and calamity, a capital in flames. She even saw her own sister running, robes torn, crying.
Oh, wow.
These nightmares were just in direct opposition to the glorious future everyone else was celebrating. It really highlights the profound disconnect between her, predetermined role and her own inner turmoil.
So if Faye is bound by prophecy, what about the men who orbit her? Let's turn our attention to the two princes shaping her life. Kieran, her betrothed, and then Yeksu, this mysterious ward. How is Prince Kieran initially presented?
Prince Kieran, initially, he comes across as the charming, doting heir. He has this easy smile. He showered Faye with attention, sneaking her out to light lanterns, building snowmen for her.
Sounds quite romantic, actually.
Yeah, making ginger and beef bone broths when she was sick, learning songs, reciting books for her. It paints this picture of, well, seemingly perfect devotion.
But there's always a but, isn't there? This seemingly perfect devotion had a dark undercurrent. His own martial arts teacher apparently told him, regarding Faye, something like, "What use is combat to an empress? She's beautiful to look at. There's nothing else you need from a wife."
Exactly. That's a pretty revealing quote about the expectations placed on her.
And Kieran himself showed a ruthless side. He banished Legion, a smart friend of Faye's, just for getting too close.
And this is where Kieran's character gives us this chilling insight into the insidious nature of power, how affection, even if it seems genuine, can be sort of weaponized as the tool of control.
Right.
How it's capable of turning to bitter darkness once it's challenged.
Yeah.
It forces you to ask, is love really love? If it comes with this expectation of ownership. It really introduces this unsettling idea that Suang the Prince will be different from Son the Emperor.
That's a crucial distinction. So if Suang represents the gilded cage, what about the shadow lurking at its edges? Let's talk about Prince Yexu of Lan, described as a hauntingly beautiful ward.
Yexu, yeah. He's described as having sculpted angles and porcelain skin, these doe-brown eyes, and he's tall, towering over almost everyone. But he carries this arrogant, rebellious streak.
And the rumors about him?
Oh, the rumors are just as striking. Whispers of dark magic that his family practiced, his ancestors being these once cruel southern rulers. His whole family is called monsters. And his country, Lan, is just a tribute state to wrong.
So definitely an outsider.
Very much so. And their very first notable interaction during that hunting party, it really sets the stage, doesn't it? He speaks with a sharp voice. His words are cold as the frozen terrain. A stark contrast to Suang's perceived perfection. He's immediately positioned as this unsettling figure.
Okay, so with this confined existence, the burden of prophecy, Faye eventually sparks her own defiance. What was the catalyst for her deep struggle with this predetermined path of being an empress?
I think her observations of the other women in the palace were a really stark awakening for her. She saw these beautiful concubines who would just wander the gardens like ghosts, covered in pale balm and cosmetics to hide their bruises.
Oh, that's grand.
Always so beautifully made up and quiet and scared. This experience, it crystallized her understanding that women were never our own, whether you were an empress or a peasant. It fueled her desire for a life beyond the palace walls and, to do more with her life than just be a wife and a mother.
That imagery of the cold palace women and Faye's quiet acts of compassion there, it really underscores the brutal systemic injustices, doesn't it? It makes her later defiance feel even more potent.
Absolutely. The horrors of the cold palace weren't just some grim observation for Faye. They were a catalyst. Her secret visits to concubine lie, this place described as where discarded toys went to die, where women were forced to literally kneel and beg for their food, that deeply impacted her.
You can see why.
Her quiet acts, like bringing saved food and stashed winter coats to these women, they highlighted her innate empathy and definitely strengthened her resolve to forge her own path, rather than become, another discarded toy herself.
This profound empathy, coupled with her burgeoning defiance, it culminates in a really pivotal moment, her deliberate decision to hunt a baying tiger alone at night. This wasn't just about hunting, it was symbolic, right?
Absolutely. Her father had scolded her for this unladylike skill, but for Faye, it was her desperate bid for agency, a way to try and break her betrothal, to rewrite her own fate.
That amazing quote.
Yeah, she famously declared, if my fate was written in the stars, then I would fly up to heaven and rewrite it. I mean, this isn't just about challenging an engagement. It's this potent commentary on challenging predetermined destinies, the human spirit's fierce refusal to just be a pawn in some larger game.
And her daring act leads to a dangerous, unexpected alliance. She finds Yexu wounded in the woods. What was so unique about his blood, and what was the significance of this second encounter?
Right, his blood. It was unlike anything else. Described as a deep shade of crimson, darker than even the grape wines, but with tiny specks of glowing blue shimmered like stardust.
Stardust, wow.
Yeah, and this unique, life-giving blood actually revives her after her own encounter with a tiger. It undeniably links their destinies. He even calls them outcasts on the run, which cements their shared sort of marginalized status and hints at this deeper connection forged outside the bounds of normal society.
Okay, so this sets the stage for, well, the grim reality. Let's dive into the price of war, a world in flames. Just 3 weeks after Faye left the capital, war erupts. Lan Yexu rises as Prince Regent. How does he manage to transform Lan so quickly from this crumbling nation into a force that can actually rival the Wrong Empire?
Yexu's transformation of Lan is astonishing. In just 12 months, he takes this crumbling nation, basically at Wrong's mercy, and elevates it to a semblance of its former glory. This really dramatic shift suggests an immense, almost unnatural power at his disposal. It's what drives the sudden, brutal escalation of the conflict.
And part of that power involves his army. They're not exactly conventional soldiers, are they? This vampire army, how does this terrifying element change the landscape of the conflict?
Yeah, this is where it gets really interesting. because it introduces this terrifying, almost supernatural element. It fundamentally changes the stakes for everyone involved, his soldiers. Rong calls them demons, but Faye observes they are humans who are not quite human anymore.
What does that mean, not quite human?
Well, they're described as impossibly fast, stronger than 10 bulls, and feed on the blood of mortals. Crucially, though, they are vulnerable to silver and sunlight.
Ah, the classic weaknesses.
Right. This changes the very nature of warfare. It introduces a whole new level of terror and requires completely different strategies. Traditional military might becomes almost, well, obsolete against this kind of force.
Meanwhile, Faye's family pays a heavy price for her defiance and this unfolding war. They're banished from the capital, relocated to a small village. What was the impact of this on their lives? And how did the war's reach soon hit home for Faye personally?
The banishment just plunges them into financial struggle. Her mother starts selling embroidery, her father is teaching. It shows the pervasive reach of imperial power, even hitting families in remote villages.
Yeah.
But the war's true impact really hits home when conscription is enacted. And Faye's father is drafted. It's a stark reminder that in these grand conflicts, it's the ordinary families who bear the deepest wounds.
And this personal tragedy sparks Faye's ultimate act of sacrifice and disguise. She takes her father's place, joining the army as a male soldier, Li Hud, or Little Li. What was that adjustment like for her? And what unlikely friendship did she form?
Oh, her adjustment to army life sounds grueling, marked by, unfamiliar smells, a complete lack of hygiene, and the constant pressure of maintaining her disguise.
I can only imagine.
It's really a testament to her determination and resilience. But despite the hardship, she forms this really profound friendship with Liu Yao, a cowherd from her village. He actually helps her keep her secret, providing this rare human connection amidst all the brutality.
And as the war rages, Prince Sewang also enters the battlefield. He appears at the military camp, no longer a boy, but a man and soldier. What kind of leader does he become? And what does his willingness to consider collateral damage reveal?
Well, he tries to endear himself to the men, letting them call him just Sewang, but he also quickly shows his ruthless and paranoid side.
How so?
This is chillingly evident in his willingness to consider collateral damage. He proposes burning the city of Changcheng, knowing it contains 20,000 of his own people, just to gain a military advantage.
20,000? That's horrifying.
It reveals a leader willing to sacrifice his own for strategic gain. It really embodies the harsh realities of power in this world.
Okay, so events are spiraling towards a climax. We arrive at the crossroads of destiny. Sewang and Faye have these tense discussions in his tent. What's the nature of those conversations? And what pivotal realization does Sewang come to?
Well, Sewang expresses his undeniable love for her. He pleads for her to stay, but Faye is firm. She refuses, telling him quite plainly, "I don't want to share my husband. I don't want to see you only when you want to see me."
Standing her ground.
Absolutely. Highlighting her unwavering desire for self-determination. And it's during these conversations that Sewang, despite her disguise, finally realizes her true identity. He figures out she's Little Li.
So he knows. That must add another layer of complexity.
Huge layer. Personal conflict layered onto the grand war.
Then comes this critical revelation, something that could actually turn the tide. Sewang discovers that Faye's silver-tipped bow killed one of Yexu's soldiers. This implies silver is the key weakness.
Right. Suddenly, Rong has a potential weapon against this seemingly invincible army.
But the human cost of this conflict becomes devastatingly clear soon after during a battlefield intervention where Faye rushes to save Sewang.
Yes, during that chaos, tragedy strikes. Liu Yao, her friend, the one who helped her keep her secret, he's killed. His blood literally stains her hands.
Oh no, not Liu Yao.
Yeah. It's a brutal reminder of the real price of these grand, sweeping narratives. It's easy to get lost in the epic scope, but the individual losses are just staggering, aren't they?
Absolutely. It brings the human cost from being just a concept to something visceral, tragic. It's not just about leaders and empires.
It's about the ordinary lives caught in the crossfire.
Exactly.
And that leads to this intense standoff on the battlefield. Faye, Sewang, and Yexu. Despite everything, Faye actually takes Sewang's side against Yexu, even threatening the Prince of Lan with a silver blade. What's her core demand in this high-stakes moment?
Her core demand is a peace treaty. It's driven by this profound desire to just save more lives. It's really a testament to her compassion, overriding personal allegiances, maybe even her own desires at that point.
She's seen too much.
She's seen the cost of war firsthand, and she's willing to confront both of these powerful men to end the bloodshed. Yeksu surprisingly agrees, but to a contest, an archery game. If Faye wins, he signs the treaty. But even in this moment, he continues his personal pursuit of Faye, confessing his love, calling her his fallen goddess, taunting her. How does his manipulation affect the outcome?
This is where Yetsu's complex character really, really shines, or perhaps darkens. His manipulation during the contest, whispering, "I'll have you, Faye." Right as she releases her arrow, it causes her to miss.
Oh, Colin.
I know. It demonstrates his ability to blend strategic brilliance with these deeply personal, almost possessive desires. It's a fascinating mix of power and emotion, where even a moment meant to secure peace becomes this personal game for him.
And so the treaty's terms are set. Yeksu agrees to the peace, but with a condition. Faye must patrol the borders, keeping her thousands of miles from both of you. This is fascinating. It's a win for peace, but it still totally serves Yeksu's personal agenda. What does this reveal about his motivations?
It reveals that even in securing a peace treaty, Yeksu is driven by this possessive, almost territorial kind of love for Faye. He agrees to her terms for peace, yes, but he ensures she's separated from Suang and remains, in a way, under his influence, even from afar.
Clever and manipulative.
It's a victory for peace, definitely, but also a very clever move that secures his personal objective.
So even with the peace treaty signed, the aftermath and lingering scars remain. The human cost is palpable. What lasting impacts do we see on the characters and their world?
Yeah, the peace takes hold, but the war's toll is undeniable. We see Kai Kun warning his family Liu Yao's child is born, but tragically, Liu Yao never knew he arrived safely. The physical and emotional exhaustion just weighs heavily on everyone.
Peace doesn't just erase the past.
Exactly. It merely halts the act of fighting, leaving behind these deep, unhealed wounds.
And for Faye, her freedom is, well, bittersweet. It comes with continued banishment. Her family's exile is lifted, her father returns to court, but her banishment now applied only to Lifeng Faye, not Li Fei or Little Li. What's the true nature of this so-called freedom, and what happens to the credit for her work?
It's a very nuanced freedom, isn't it? Her family's pardoned, yes, but her identity as Lifeng Fei remains exiled. And all her contributions, her bravery as Li Fei or Little Li, they're largely credited to Suang.
Of course they are.
It highlights the systemic injustice, how history often erases the contributions of women, especially when a male hero figure can be elevated instead. She's free in a sense, but still fighting for recognition for her own name.
Interestingly, her sister Fan Yan finds unexpected contentment in their exile. What does her experience highlight about true freedom?
Yeah, Fang Yun discovers what she calls true freedom in just living life on her own terms, enjoying gossip, being free from the constant judgment of the court. She emphasizes she didn't want that sort of life, being constantly scrutinized in the capital.
A different perspective.
It offers a contrasting perspective on what freedom truly means, suggesting it's not always about grand power or public recognition, but maybe more about personal autonomy and just peace of mind.
And for Faye herself, this whole journey solidifies her ambition, her purpose. She decides to train my army and amass the kind of power this empire would never allow a girl to have.
What does this reveal about how she sees the prophecy now?
She explicitly recognizes the prophecy said I was the one destined for greatness, not my lover and not my husband, me. This is her declaration of radical self-determination.
Yeah.
She's no longer just defying a betrothal. She's actively reinterpreting her destiny entirely on her own terms. She's asserting her agency to forge a path of power and influence for herself, completely independent of any man.
Meanwhile, Yexi's quest continues. He expands west against Yan, still looking for answers about their strange powers. What's his motivation for amassing more power, and what impact does he claim Faye has had on him? Yexi seems to believe that the more power I amass, the more likely I'll find someone who knows why we were born with these abilities. So his quest for power is driven by this deeper search for understanding, for self-knowledge.
Interesting.
And regarding Faye, he claims, every time I see you, a part of me wants to be better. It hints at the profound, maybe transformative impact she's had on him, perhaps even challenging his darker tendencies.
And so the future remains unwritten. Faye departs for the border, making her last farewells. Despite the fragile peace, the narrative really leaves us with this powerful sense that the future isn't set in stone. It's still very much unfolding.
This deep dive into the Nightblood Prince really unpacks so many layers: destiny, choice, personal sacrifice. We've explored this intricate web of relationships, the brutal realities of war, and one young woman's just unwavering quest to define her own path, even when it meant defying ancient prophecies and, well, breaking hearts.
What's so fascinating here, I think, is how the narrative constantly plays with the idea of agency. Faye's visions show her this predetermined future, yet her every action is an attempt to alter it.
Right.
Su Wang, despite his immense power, he's also bound by his love, his imperial expectations, and Yexu, for all his monstrous abilities, seems driven by this profound desire for understanding and connection. It really challenges us to consider where true power actually lies.
Exactly. So what does this all mean for you, listening? This deep dive into a world grappling with these grand prophecies and powerful figures, it makes you think. It raises a really important question, doesn't it? In a world where fate might seem written in the stars, how much of our own journey is truly within our control? And maybe more importantly, what sacrifices are we willing to make for the world we envision?
Something to chew on as you go about your week.